Hello everyone, my name is Weidan Wang. Today I will presenting on PCB contamination of the Hudson River. This presentation will give a quick overview of PCB contamination in the Hudson River, examine the impact of PCB pollution, and go over the cleanup efforts and how effective they've been. Here's a quick outline of what I will cover today. First, I will go over the background of the PCB contaminations. Then I will talk about the impacts of PCBs, the cleanup efforts, and what the monitoring data shows. Finally, I will summarize the result and discuss what the future may hold. Now, I will start with some background to help us understand how this pollution event came about. Between 1947 and 1977, two GE plants, one in Hudson Falls and one in Fort Edward, released about 1.3 million pounds of PCBs into Hudson rivers. As shown by red arrows on the map, both plants were upstream, so pollution spread over 200 miles downstream, reaching the New York-New Jersey harbor. Because of this, the Hudson was named one of the largest Superfund cleanup sites in the country. Now, let's talk about PCBs. They are man-made chemicals once used in electrical equipment because they are stable. But that's also a problem. They don't break down. Even though PCBs were banned in 1979, they are still in the environment today. They can move through air, water, and soil. And once they enter rivers, they stick to sediment and build up in fish. Let's look at how PCBs have impact the river. The impact falls into three main areas: environmental, health, and economic. First, the environmental impact. As we mentioned earlier, PCBs polluted over 200 miles of river sediment. They stay in water for a long time and build up in fish, throwing the ecosystem out of balance. For health, PCB are classified by the EPA as probable human carcinogens, meaning they may cause cancer. They are also linked to problems like reproductive issues and weaken the immune system. That's why the state issued warning not to eat fish from the river. And economically, after pollution was found, the government banned fishing in many areas. Both commercial and recreational fishing were shut down in some areas. That hit local community hard, especially those that rely on a river for the food or income. Let's take a look at the timeline of cleanup. The river was listed as a Superfund site in 1984, but major cleanup didn't start until the 2000s. The main effort was dredging, digging up polluted sediment from the river bottom. Phase 1 began in 2009 as a test run, and Phase 2 ran from 2011 to 2015, cover over 40 miles. Since 2016, long-term monitoring has been going on to see if PCB levels are really dropping. And this chart shows PCB levels at 4 sites in the Upper Hudson River. The dotted line here is the EPA safety limit. Back in 2004, the levels were really high, like Skylar was almost 40, nearly 3 times the EPA limit. Cleanup started in 2009, and by 2016, level dropped a lot, like Skylar dropped from over 30 to around 10, and waterfall dropped to about 13. Between 2017 and 2020, some sites saw a small rise, but that was because of low river flow, which made concentrations look higher, not because of new pollution. By 2021, as the flow improved, levels dropped again. If you look at Baker's Falls, the level was always low because it's located above the GE plant and is not affected by the pollution. So overall cleanup worked, but monitoring still needed to track long-term trends. And this chart shows PCB levels in fish from the Upper Hudson River. The blue bar shows average measured concentrations, and the orange bar is the EPA safety standard. The data uses a species-weighted average of commonly eaten fish like bass, bullhead, and yellow perch, based on how often they are caught and their fat content. From 2004 to 2008, PCB levels were very high, often over 2 milligrams per kilogram. It's 5 times the safety limit. Dredging began in 2009, but instead of dropping, fish PCB level increased until 2014, reached 2.2. That's because dredging stirred up polluted sediment, which re-entered the food chain and was quickly absorbed by fish. Starting in 2015, levels began to steadily decline, but even now all values are still above the EPA limit. So while it's improving, the fish are not safe to eat yet, and more monitoring is needed to track long-term recovery. This chart shows the cleanup progress based on 2021 data. About 37% of fish samples are on the safety limit, so things are getting better, but most are still unsafe. But it makes sense. PCBs stay in fish longer, so recovery takes more time. On the water side, 81% of samples meet the EPA standard, which is a big step forward. Here's a quick look at the cleanup result. Since the 1990s, PCB levels dropped by 92% in sediment, 79% in water, and 65% in fish since dredging. Although the fish's recovery is still ongoing, overall great progress has been made. Here's a short summary to end the presentation. PCBs from GE plants caused big risks to the environment, public health, and the local economy. Cleanup efforts made a real difference, but the job isn't done. Some fish are still unsafe to eat, so ongoing monitoring and strong community support are still needed.